show. Today, I have the honor of speaking to Selina Williams, and she's, of course, a local woman in Cape Town that has given us so much. But I will give her the floor. So, Selina, please, will you give a short introduction of who you are and speak up about yourself?
Okay. My name is Selina Williams. You mentioned my sister earlier. Her name is Coline Williams.
Hello, Coline.
And basically, we on a journey for justice. The Williams family, along with the Waterwich family, we are part of a collective, the Apartheid era victims family support group.
Yeah.
And currently we have over 50 cases open. And yes, so my sister's case with Robbie's case, or it's a joint case, it's got one case number. It's one of over 300 cases which the TRC never followed through with the NPA. So yes, it reminds me of an interview I had with Ahmed Khan. Ahmed Khan was busy writing a book, and he also did recordings. Karen Abrams from the Ahmed Khan Foundation, she basically did interviews with many people and many families apartheid era victims. And so I told him the whole story about my sister, how she grew up, the District 6 story, the family being forcibly moved through the Group Areas Act to Bonteheuwel. And he told me, you know what? We've recorded that story. I want to hear your story.
Yes.
And I told him my story, and he says, you know what? A lot of people seem to forget when our victims die, their family members are left behind. They are left with a trauma. And he explained, your sister died over 30 years ago. I mean, at the time it was in 20-something when he interviewed me. Like over 20 years ago, your sister died. And she died with a trauma. That's where trauma ended. But you lived with that trauma for over 20 years.
Yeah.
So, and he was explaining to me, nobody commends you. Everybody interviews you about your sister. But you're the one who bears the pain and who has to pick up the pieces and search for answers. Yes. So I'm an artist. I straight after matric, I studied fine art. There's some of my paintings behind.
Amazing. I was about to ask you if that is yours.
Chris Hani behind, and then there's a music scene.
Amazing.
It's sort of half abstract.
Yes.
And first of all, I'm an artist. And I'm on the life side of life. I celebrate life. When I look at memory, because I'm also part of a collective called C.A.R.A, which is a memory project around fallen heroes. So we tell the stories and we celebrate their lives, and it's more like a celebratory project that we do. We celebrate their lives because a lot of people think that we are trauma burdened.
Yes.
And we are angry and we are full of hate. Because I think that is what that is the brunt of apartheid, and people can't deal with our history. Always say that we live in the past and we have anger issues and things like that, but it's not true.
Yeah.
And even if we do have anger, there's nothing wrong with it. It's part of our history. We deal with it.
Yes.
But we celebrate life and we celebrate the lives of our loved ones. And when we memorialize, we think of sort of more practical things of memorialization. So we write our own stories, we tell our own stories, and we record it. And also, currently, yes.
Yes. I wanted to ask you to tell me a little bit about Fallen Heroes and what made you decide to start that. Is it about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. In the late 90s, everybody expected that the new government would have like a memorial park, and all the bodies would be together. And a lot of people had a lot of expectations, and we were part of it. We expected more. But when we realized that nothing was being done, and it was all big talks and nothing happened, we decided to make it happen, because the power lay with us. We need to do something. We can't expect other people to do it. We are the people.
Yeah.
So we started fundraising as family members. It was C.A.R.A is an acronym for Coline, Ashley, Robbie, and Anton. And three of the four members are from Bonteheuwel. The fourth one is Robbie, who died with Coline from Bonteheuwel. So it was mainly Bonteheuwel and Athlone comrades that got together, and we had Goombas, we had karaoke.
Oh, what?
We sold boerewors rolls, we had a dance and a party here and there, just to keep the momentum going and gathering people and telling our stories. But to basically sort of have a dignified resting place for our comrades. So all four of these graves are at Maitland Cemetery. And Coline and Robbie had a gravestone, and so did Ashley Creel.
Yeah.
The only thing is, they even though they had a tombstone, it wasn't marked with their names. Whereas Ashley's was marked with his name, and then Anton Franz didn't have a tombstone. And then we thought, you know what? These are all our family members and our comrades. So if we're going to do something, we're going to do it for all four, do it equally.
Yeah.
Then we decided, look, Ashley's grave needs a revamp. Coline and Robbie needs labeling. Why not do all four? So we did the fundraising, and we managed to raise funds for all four graves to get a tombstone and headstone. So a base and some artwork on the headstone. And it was a big event. We invited ministers. Like I say, we were just a project, a loose group of comrades doing it. But we also recognize that these four were MK cadres, and we could not remove them from the movement, from the African National Congress. So even though, we were a project, we still branded it as knowing that they were members of Umkhonto we Sizwe. It works.
So what's happening with Fallen Heroes right now in 2021? What can you say?
In 2021, our drive is for justice. And like I said, we're part of a collective of over 50 families. We have over 300 open cases, but only 50 is being followed up where they have assigned investigations. Yeah. So we're part of, there's a special unit in the Western Cape that does Western Cape cases. And I don't know how many in the Western Cape is currently open, but I know there was a discussion about the Anton Franz case. Coline and Robbie is open. Ashley Creel is open. And then Eastern Cape is Steve Biko's, the Craddock 4, And then in Johannesburg is Dr. Fiji's case. The gosh, now I can't
No, you don't need to name them all. But I have to ask you, so with all these cases
the
being
open, court case.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
So with all these cases being open, what is the end game for all these families? What do you actually want out of it? I mean, it is 31 years now, not 30 years anymore. What would be the winning, the end, if you ever did see all these cases through?
Okay. At the moment, all these cases were suppressed. The truth was suppressed. So we don't know the truth. We don't, up to today, we don't know how Coline and Robbie died. So I can speak for our case. We don't know how Coline and Robbie died. The inquest, the pathology report was inconclusive. The inquest was cause of death unknown. So as much as it was unknown 1989, it's still unknown today. And so we want to know what happened. We want to know why cases wasn't followed through after 1997. And then your question is, what is the end game? The end game is we want the truth.
Yeah.
Because there can only be reconciliation once we have truth.
True.
So with that, mom passed on earlier this year. And so did Ashley Creel's mom, and there's many other parents. And the only other mother, and Robbie's mom was also passed on in 2016. And the only parent that's still alive with the C.A.R.A group is Anton France's mom. So it seems like we're going sort of down the same road with all of these cases, but we want justice.
Yes.
And once we have justice, we can make peace with the past. We can't make peace without knowing what we're making peace with. So people say, leave the past in the past, make peace, and move on. Yeah. How do you move on without knowing what happened?
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, that sums that part up. I also, so as an activist and somebody that's been in South Africa, and of course you know exactly what's happening, a female activist for the first time on Speak Up, yay. What do you feel like South Africa is heading towards? What do you think the future looks like, especially with COVID, the riots, Zuma, just in a broad, short spectrum? What do you think? Where do you think South Africa is heading right now versus what it looked like in the past? So there's no right or wrong answer.
That's a difficult one. Because the struggles has changed. What we faced in the 80s and what the youth is facing now, and the youth is really a decider. People I don't know. I just find people I speak to don't realize the power, or the youth even don't realize the power they have. The majority of the electorate is the youth.
Yeah.
So if only the youth can step up, if they get vaccinated, will get herd immunity. It's all up to them. They're the deciding group. Yeah. If they decide to all register for elections and they vote, then they are the deciders of society. Yeah. There's so much power with them. Yeah. And I can tell you, in the 80s, we as youth used our power. Yeah. We delivered liberation. Yes. It was the youth. So we've exercised that power before as youth. Yeah. And there's evidence that it works. So I think if we want true change, we need to really be inclusive of the youth and get them involved.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Thanks.
So I think that is very important, even with political parties. If only they focus on youth, if their targets should go off the youth. I mean, we mobilized in churches, in youth groups, we mobilized in clubs, in
amazing,
in sport clubs, where places where youth, which attracted youth, because there's so much energy with young people, and if we can use that energy positively. So yeah, and I think it's necessary to stimulate them and to work that energy.
Yeah. So please would you give us your predictions for the local government elections this year? What do you think we going towards? Or should we just brace ourselves?
Well, we have not. I don't think I'm an ANC member.
Okay.
And I have not seen who our mayoral candidate is.
Yes,
so
not yet,
that still has to be released. And it depends who the candidate is and where we're going with it, where we're targeting our campaign.
Yes.
It's difficult to predict. Yeah.
What ward are you in?
It's very difficult.
Which ward are you in, Selina?
Ward 26. Ward 26.
That is
northern suburbs.
Oh.
Elsie's River, Parrow Valley.
Okay. That's very DA. I think.
Yes, it is. It is.
Well, a lot of people haven't. That was a very diplomatic prediction, Selina. But thank you, Selina. If anybody wanted to find you on Facebook to be part of Fallen Heroes or any other projects that you're on, what would you say is the best place for them to find you?
It's C.A.R.A Memory Project, C.A.R.A Memory Project. That is one of the like I said, that's one of my many hats.
Yes.
Then I'm also with Revolutionary Yoga and Free Food Kitchens. Yeah. And that's where I'm currently active in. I practice my art there. We do street yoga with the kids.
Amazing.
We feed animals. We feed humans. And yes, the thing is, it's like people can become very negative and pull down with COVID and the pandemic and the vibes that's going around with all the deaths. And but in the industry that I'm working in, we work with the poorest of the poor. We sort of build food gardens. We grow food gardens with our kitchens. There's a lot of activity, and I think if we push our activity where we push our energy where positive activities is happening, I think it will lift our spirits, because that's how I felt. I mean, I just started working for Revolutionary Yoga and Free Food Kitchens since April, and it was sort of after a hectic time in my life. My mom passed on earlier this year, and
condolences.
I could feel like feeling myself down, spiraling with towards depression, because I'm the only member of my family left. All my siblings has passed on, my parents has passed on, and I was like, I'm now the eldest person in my family.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
And I'm not even 50 years old. So starting when I started working for Revolutionary Yoga and Free Food Kitchens, I realized there's so much generosity happening in our communities. Communities are taking care of each other. I mean, we're not government sponsored as an organization, but we get sponsored through individuals, through members that who place monthly pledges, and
Amazing.
just businesses and generous people,
Amazing.
and taking it from the one hand, passing it to the other hand. There's a positive vibe happening in our communities, which I feel is not being reported enough on, because I think people need to hear these positive
Yeah.
stories that we are not out and
Dying. Yeah.
down and out and downtrodden. We are doing it for ourselves in our communities,
Yeah.
and I think the energy now, or the focus should be on food gardens. We have good soil in South Africa. People need to grow their own food,
Yeah.
and it will make our communities self-sustainable by growing their own food. So yes, that is where I'm at the moment.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you so much,
So
Selina, for coming on to speak up. The show that we are not allowing ourselves to be told what to say and what to do. And like you're saying, a lot of people think that the youth and a lot of us are down and out, but this is my way of contributing. And I really appreciate you coming on speak up
yay,
and speaking to me.
well done.